That had begun.
Your job, your savings, your home, all of it gone. Not in a crash, not in a crisis, in a slow bleed that lasts 23 years. And it's starting right now, November 2025. You just don't feel it yet. In 1873, the markets crashed, and then they never recovered. Not in 5 years, not in 10, 23 years. An entire generation grew up knowing nothing but economic collapse. People born into prosperity died broke. Businesses that survived a decade still failed in year 15. And right now, we're seeing the exact same warning signs. But here's what's different. In 1873, most people had nothing to lose. No retirement accounts, no mortgages, no credit card debt. You have everything to lose, and the clock's already ticking. Here's what happened. May 1873, Vienna. The stock market collapses overnight. People thought it was isolated, just Austria, just Europe. They were wrong. September 1873, New York. A bank called J. Cook & Company fails. Not a small bank. The bank. The one that financed the Civil War. The one everyone trusted. It triggered a panic. Within weeks, the New York Stock Exchange shut down for 10 days. First time in history. Railroads started failing. Dozens of them. These were the tech giants of their era. The Amazons and Apples of the 1870s. Gone. But here's the thing nobody expected. Year 1 passed. Markets didn't recover. Year 2 passed. Still bleeding. Year 3. Year 4. Year 5. People kept waiting for the bounce. For the recovery. For things to go back to normal. They never did. By 1877, unemployment hit 14%. Wages dropped 25%. Railroad construction, which employed millions, basically stopped. By 1880, people stopped hoping. This wasn't a crisis anymore. This was life. By 1890, an entire generation had grown up knowing only economic depression. 23 years. Think about that. Someone who was 20 years old in 1873 was 43 when it finally ended. Their entire adult life. Gone. Now, here's what matters. America in 2025 looks exactly like America in 1872. Massive infrastructure boom? Check. We had that with tech and housing. Speculation everywhere? Check. Meme stocks, crypto, SPX. Easy credit creating bubbles? Check. Corporate debt at record highs. Geopolitical tension? Check. Then it was European wars. Now it's Taiwan, Ukraine, Middle East. We're not at 1873 yet. We're at 1872. 1 year before everything broke. But here's where it gets weird. Every economist knows about the Long Depression. Every historian studies it. It's taught in every business school. So you'd think we'd see it coming, right? You'd think central banks would be preparing. Governments would be cautious. Markets would be careful. Instead, they're doing the opposite. The Fed's balance sheet is massive. Corporate debt's at all-time highs. The market keeps hitting records while the economy shows cracks. How is that possible? Because of one thing most people don't understand. The system's been redesigned to prevent short crashes. But that redesign makes long depressions inevitable. Back in 1873, there was no Federal Reserve, no bailouts, no too big to fail. When things broke, they broke fast, sharp, brutal. But then recovery could start. Now, we built a system that props everything up, that delays the collapse, that keeps zombies alive. We traded short pain for long suffering. And that's what makes 2025 so dangerous. We haven't prevented the depression. We just made sure it'll last longer. Picture this. Imagine a dam. Water's building up behind it. Pressure's increasing. Cracks are forming. You have two choices. Choice 1. Let some water out now. Controlled release. Small flood downstream. Some damage. But the dam survives. Choice 2. Keep patching the cracks. Keep the water in. Keep everything looking stable. Until one day the dam doesn't crack. It breaks, and when it breaks, everything downstream gets destroyed. That's what central banks have been doing since 2008. The cracks formed in 2008. They should have let some water out. Let bad companies fail. Let debts default. Let the pressure release. Instead, they patched it. Money printing. Zero interest rates. Corporate bailouts. The water kept rising. 2020 COVID crash. More patches. More stimulus. More printed money. The water kept rising. 2025, the dam's holding. Markets look fine. Everything seems stable. But the pressure's at record levels. And here's the scary part. When this dam breaks, there's no controlled release left. There's no more patches. There's no more tools. It's just break. In the economy, that dam is made of three things: corporate debt holding up zombie companies, treasury bonds holding up the dollar's value, consumer spending holding up the stock market. Each one's connected. Each one's under pressure. Touch one, they all break. And unlike 1873, when it was just railroads and banks, now it's everything. Tech, real estate, retail, auto, energy. The entire system's downstream of that dam. Let me give you numbers that'll make this real. Corporate debt in America, $11.8 trillion. That's not small businesses. That's big corporations. The ones with stock tickers, the ones on the S&P 500. Here's what that means. 20% of American companies are zombies. They don't make enough profit to cover their debt payments. They'd only survive because interest rates were low for so long. They borrowed cheap, paid interest with more debt, kept the cycle going, raise rates, they collapse. The Fed already raised rates from 0% to 5.5%, highest in 16 years. Corporate bankruptcies in 2024 hit the highest level since 2010. Not during a recession, during good times. What happens when the real slowdown hits? Here's another number. U.S. government debt, $36 trillion. Your personal share, $108,000. You didn't borrow it. You didn't vote for it, but you're going to pay it. Here's how. Every time you buy groceries, you're paying through inflation. Every time you get your paycheck, you're paying through taxes. Every time you save money, you're paying through currency debasement. That $108,000, the government needs it back, and they have three ways to take it from you. Option 1. Raise your taxes by 30 to 40%, starting 2026. Option 2. Let inflation run at 8 to 10% for a decade. Your savings cut in half. Option 3. Default. Your dollar becomes worthless overnight. They're going with option 2, slow burn, quiet theft. You'll work the same hours, get the same paycheck number, but by 2030, that paycheck buys half as much. That's not a forecast. That's how they pay the debt. Through you. The interest alone, $1 trillion a year. That's $3,000 per American every single year. Just on interest. Think about it. The government takes $3,000 from you annually and gets nothing in return. No schools, no roads, no services, just interest on debt you never borrowed. And it's growing every single month. One more. Japan's been stuck in low growth since 1990, 35 years. Their debt to GDP in 1990, 67%. America's debt to GDP in 2025, 123%. We're already worse than Japan was when their lost decade started, but we're moving faster. Japan took 20 years to hit our current levels. We did it in 15. The Long Depression of 1873 started with railroad debt. This one's starting with everything debt: corporate, government, consumer, student, auto, credit card. It's all connected, and it's all at record levels. When one domino falls. Remember that dam? Every number I just gave you? That's water behind the dam. 11.8 trillion corporate debt, water. 36 trillion government debt, water. 20% zombie companies, cracks forming. Record high interest rates, pressure increasing. And the patches? They're already failing. You can hear the dam creaking, if you listen. Corporate bankruptcies rising, that's the sound. Bank failures starting, that's the sound. Commercial real estate collapsing, that's the sound. Most people don't hear it yet. The water's still behind the dam. Everything still looks stable, but engineers, the ones who built the dam, they're quietly moving to higher ground, and they're not telling you why. Want to know who sees this coming? Central banks. They're buying gold at record pace. 125 tons in October 2025 alone. Highest in 30 years. Why? They're not speculating. They're preparing. Billionaires, Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, Stanley Druckenmiller, they're not holding cash. They're moving to hard assets, gold, real estate, commodities. They're reading the same data you are, but they're acting. Large corporations, the smart ones, they're hoarding cash, building reserves, cutting debt, getting lean. They're not waiting for the crash. They're preparing for the aftermath. Even governments are moving. China's dumping treasury bonds, $300 billion in the last 18 months. Saudi Arabia diversifying out of dollars. Rice's creating alternative payment systems. They all see the dam, and they're not standing downstream anymore. So here's the question. While billionaires buy gold, while central banks stockpile reserves, while corporations cut debt, while governments diversify. What are you doing? Waiting? Hoping? Pretending this isn't real? In 1873, the people who survived weren't the richest. They were the ones who saw it coming and moved first, the ones who waited, who believed it'll be fine. They were the ones who lost everything. This time won't be different. The only question is, which group are you in? Here's how it happens. Step 1. Interest rates stay high. Why? Because inflation's still a problem. The Fed can't cut without risking another inflation spike. But here's what high rates do. Step 2. Zombie companies start failing. This isn't future tense, this is now. Corporate bankruptcies in 2024? 675 filings, highest since 2010. WeWork, Bed Bath & Beyond, Rite Aid, Party City. Gone. November 2025, we're on track for 800 plus this year. These aren't small businesses. These are companies with billions in revenue. They survived 2008. Survived COVID. But they can't survive 5.5% interest rates. And they're not the bottom 20%. They're the first 20%. The next 30%, they're bleeding right now. Cutting staff, closing locations, desperately trying to refinance. They have 6 to 12 months. That's it. Here's what you're not seeing yet. Walk into any mall. Stores still open, shelves still stocked, employees still working. Everything looks normal. But behind the scenes, those stores are renegotiating leases, delaying vendor payments, praying for a miracle. They're dead. They just haven't fallen yet. And when they do. Step 3 gets. Step 3. Healthy companies can't get loans. Even good businesses need credit. To expand, to pay employees, to buy inventory. No credit. They start cutting costs. Layoffs begin. Step 4. Unemployment rises. People lose jobs. Consumer spending drops. Retail sales fall. Step 5. Corporate revenues collapse. Companies make less money. Stock prices drop. More companies fail. Step 6. Banks lose more money. More defaults, more bad loans, more losses. Step 7. Credit tightens even more. Back to Step 3. The cycle feeds itself. And here's why it's inevitable. The Fed has 2 choices. Cut rates. Zombies survive, but inflation explodes. Your money becomes worthless. Keep rates high. Zombies fail. Economy collapses. Mass unemployment. There's no good option. They're trapped. In 1873, this cycle lasted 23 years because there was no Fed to intervene. In 2025, this cycle could last even longer because the Fed already used all its tools. They can't cut to zero again. They're already there. They can't print unlimited money again. They already did that. They can't bail everyone out again. The debt's too big. They're out of ammunition. And the cycle's just starting. That's not dominoes. That's the dam breaking. And once that water starts moving, you can't stop it. You can't slow it. You can't negotiate with it. You either prepared or you're downstream. In 1873, most people lived upstream. Farmers, rural communities, cash-based economies. In 2025, we all live downstream. Every job connected to the system. Every savings account connected to banks. Every home value connected to credit. There's no high ground this time. There's only how fast can you swim. So what does this mean for you? Let's make it real. Your job. If you work in tech, finance, real estate, retail, or any debt-heavy industry, your job's at risk. That might be, is. Corporate layoffs are already starting. They'll accelerate. Even if you keep your job, your salary's getting cut. Your bonus? Gone. Your promotion? Delayed indefinitely. Your paycheck? Whatever you earn now, it'll buy less. Inflation's not going away. Food costs more. Gas costs more. Rent costs more. But your salary? Frozen or cut. You'll work the same hours for less purchasing power. That's not a recession. That's a depression. Your paycheck. Whatever you earn now, it'll buy less. Inflation's not going away. Food costs more. Gas costs more. Rent costs more. But your salary? Frozen or cut. You'll work the same hours for less purchasing power. That's not a recession. That's a depression. Your home. If you bought in the last 5 years, you're underwater. Home prices are propped up by low rates and speculation. Raise rates, prices drop. You'll owe more than your house is worth. Can't sell, can't refinance, just stuck. And if you're renting, landlords are about to panic. Evictions are coming, not because they're evil, because they can't pay their mortgages either. Your retirement. Got a 401k, IRA, pension, it's tied to the stock market. Corporate bonds, real estate, all the things about to collapse. In 1873, people lost everything. Entire fortunes wiped out. The difference now? More people have retirement accounts. More people are exposed. More people will lose everything. Your kids. If you have children, stop for a second. Picture their face. Now imagine telling them at 25 years old, there are no jobs, there's no future. The system broke before you were born and nobody fixed it. They didn't cause this. They didn't vote for this. They didn't spend this debt, but they'll pay for it. Their entire lives. In 1873, kids born that year turned 23 when the Depression ended. 23 years old. Their entire childhood poverty. Their entire adolescent struggle. They entered adulthood already broken. Your kids? If this starts in 2026 and lasts 23 years like last time, they'll be adults in 2049. 23 years from now. Think about that. Every birthday, every Christmas, every graduation, every milestone of their lives during a depression. And here's what destroys you as a parent. You can't protect them from this. You can't work harder to fix it. You can't save enough to shield them. You can't move somewhere safe. This is systemic. This is generational. This is total. The only thing worse than losing everything yourself, watching your children inherit nothing. Not no money, no hope. That's what 23 years does. It doesn't just take wealth. It takes belief in the future itself. This isn't theoretical. This is your life in 12 to 24 months if this plays out. But here's where it gets bigger. When depressions last this long, economies don't just shrink. Societies break. Your community. Local businesses close, not just struggling. Close forever. Your favorite restaurant? Gone. The coffee shop? Gone. The gym? Gone. Commercial real estate collapses. Empty storefronts everywhere. Your town starts looking like those abandoned Rust Belt cities. Your country. Governments lose control when economies fail. Tax revenues drop. They can't pay for services. Schools close. Police get cut. Infrastructure crumbles. Social programs disappear. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. That might be reduced. Gone. And when people lose everything, when they have nothing left, that's when societies become unstable. History shows what happens next. The Long Depression led to massive labor strikes. The Great Railroad Strike of 1877. Federal troops shooting workers. It led to violent protests. Haymarket Affair in Chicago. Bombs. Deaths. It led to political extremism. Populist movements. Anarchist movements. Socialism spreading. When the system fails people for 23 years, they stop believing in the system. And globally? The Long Depression triggered the scramble for Africa. European powers fighting for colonies, for resources, for anything to restart their economies. It led to arms races, to tensions that eventually exploded into World War I. Economic collapse doesn't stay economic. It becomes political, social, military. We're already seeing the signs. Geopolitical tensions at highs. China, Russia, Middle East. Populist movements rising everywhere, left and right. Social trust collapsing. Nobody believes institutions anymore. Add a 23-year depression to that mix. We're not talking about money anymore. We're talking about survival. So, when does this start? If we follow the pattern, we're at 1872 right now. The cracks are forming. Corporate defaults rising. Credit tightening. Consumer spending slowing. The break happened in 1873 during autumn. September specifically. In 2025, we're watching 3 triggers. Trigger 1. Corporate debt refinancing. Billions in corporate debt needs refinancing in 2025 to 2026, at much higher rates. Companies that survive on 2% loans now face 7% loans. They can't afford it. Mass defaults start late 2025 or early 2026. Trigger 2. Commercial real estate. Over $1 trillion in commercial mortgages mature by 2027. Office buildings, retail spaces, all empty because of remote work. Banks holding that debt, they're about to realize it's worthless. Banking crisis starts mid-2026. Trigger 3. Government fiscal crisis. Debt ceiling fights, shutdown threats, default risks. One misstep. One political failure. And treasury markets break. That's the damn breaking. That's when everything goes. Could happen Q4 2025. Could be Q1 2026. Could stretch to late 2026. But the window's closing. This is months, not years. And once it starts, it doesn't stop. That's the lesson from 1873. People kept thinking this is the bottom. year after year. It never was. The system was broken. It stayed broken. For 23 years. But here's the thing about the Long Depression that nobody tells you. It didn't end because the economy recovered. It ended because an entire generation gave up. In 1896, when it officially ended, millions of people were still broke, still unemployed, still suffering. But they stopped fighting, stopped hoping, stopped believing things would get better. The Depression didn't end. People just accepted it as life. That's what 23 years does. It doesn't just destroy wealth. It destroys the belief that things can be different. And when this generation loses that belief, when your kids grow up thinking this is just how the world is, that's not a depression ending, that's civilization downgrading. So here's what matters right now. November 2025. You have a choice. You can wait, hope this is wrong, pray it doesn't happen, or you can prepare. The next video breaks down exactly what to do. Not vague advice. Specific actions, with timelines, what to buy, what to sell, what to hold, where to keep money, where to move, who to trust. The playbook people used in 1873 to not just survive, but to thrive when everyone else collapsed. Because here's the truth. Every depression creates two groups. The 95% who lose everything, and the 5% who see it coming. Subscribe right now, because in 6 months, when this starts accelerating, when your job's at risk and your savings are bleeding, you'll wish you prepared today. The clock's already ticking, and 23 years is a long time to regret not acting in time. Hit subscribe. Next video drops in 48 hours, and it might be the most important thing you watch this year.